and welcome to another installment of TED Excellence, the show in which I bleed because I'm human, purportedly. And I come to you live from my Corona bunker on the moon with Dogcat Fox, a Pepperjack, and all of you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Thursday. Totally Tubular Thursday. Yes, we're back once again into the wonderful world of off-brand TED Talks for a look at something strange and different and weird, I think. This week's selection had more to do with the fact that it was a weird title and caught my attention. And I thought, we've done some fairly topical, directly sort of implicative TED Talks the last couple of weeks. I have no idea what this is talking about. So maybe we'll learn something new. And what are we talking about? Why I use blood as a material to get attention. That's my first reactive notion to why you would do that. But what do I know? But before we get to that, who's joining me this evening? Point Curation, hello, and thank you so much, Point Curation. Let me see if I can pull this up here. There we go. During a short time frame in which menstrual waste is used to paint with, the School of Art might be known colloquially as period pieces. Are you trying to steal Cryptic's job or something, Point? Either way, thank you so much. Mike R., hello. And then chat jump, because of course it did. Keeverdam, hello. Jenny Milquist, hello. Lurking Gopher, hello. Funtime Bats, hello. Hi, I'm Steve, hello. Absolutely Degenerate, hello. Attack Alpaca, hello. Neon Leon, hello. Green Death, hello. This is Kyle, hello. Johnny Hellcat, hello. Big Dave, hello. Corey Suzuki, hello. Dagger 3K, hello. Osan, hello. Ebony Williams, hello. Zeke Weiss, hello. Let's see if I didn't already say it. Jaeger Pony, hello. Ebony Williams, hello. For the second time, maybe, because I keep doubling up. Because my short-term memory is shot. It's probably TEDx's fault. But, all that aside, yeah, so why I use blood as a material. I don't know. My thought is that it's because it's attention-getting, and you want attention. But maybe there's a reason to this. Maybe there's a method to the madness. I don't know. Maybe he's a vampire. I hope he's a vampire. That'd make this the most interesting TEDx I've watched in a while. Let's see. Jack Frost, hello. Check Your Logic, hello. Spoonie the Rebel, hello. And Bridget, hello. Do we not have Alexi Mads yet? Oh, boy. All right. Well, anyway, let's start off with this. Tonight's bingo card is bingo card C. C as in AB negative blood. To get that joke, you'll have to have paid attention to the poll I put up on Twitter. If you'd like to participate in the poll that occasionally picks the bingo card, follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is there on the screen and in the description. Now, thank you, Mike R. Why do I get the feeling I'm glad I ate before this? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Oh, there's a bot in the chat. A bot in the chat. I spotted it. Somebody already got it. Mike R. got it. Good for you, Mike R. All right. This one clocks in at 14 minutes and 47 seconds. So your standard length TEDx. Oh, boy. It comes to us from TEDx Vienna. And I already checked the speaker is speaking English, because these days, you check TEDx's, you got to make sure real quick. It's like, the title's in English. Is the speaker speaking English? Don't know. But we're good. So with that, start off with a few seconds for sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear this, and then we will proceed. Burp, 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 burp. Did you hear that little weird horny horny noise, horny sound, horny music? Yeah, anyway. It's been a week so far. I hope everybody who has a day off on Monday has a day off on Monday. That's a low-hanging fruit. All good, says Bridget. All good, says Jaeger Pony. Sounds good, says Keeverdam. All right, here we go.
3 years ago, I developed a bioplastic that is made entirely out of blood.
Roll credits. But, okay, a bioplastic made totally out of blood. See, whenever I think of plastics being made out of, novel things, I can't help but think back to several Thunderfoot videos where people are like, we can make plastic by pulling carbon from the air. which you could and you can, except it's a really inefficient and ridiculously expensive process. But okay, you make plastic out of blood.
Here on this picture, you can see some early experiments of trying to source some material. And this picture was taken actually before a friend of mine had volunteered to donate some of his blood for my research. And I found that this was something that felt so precious and special, that he was giving his blood to me, that I had to give my own as well to accept his donation. And that might sound a bit irrational, but that's also what it does, right? Blood, this like mythical fluid that can represent life and death.
And okay, so this is one big performance artist piece. I mean, for the sake of the longevity of this talk, because I hope there's more to it than just what he's saying, there's some proposal of making this more common and not just a one-off.
And really worlds in between it. I'm sure you've all heard it already, that when you're good at something, you have it in your blood. When we are afraid, our blood runs cold.
Yeah, they're all sayings. It's all metaphors. Okay, Fun Time Bats, thanks so much. Blood plastic. Blastic sounds newfangled. Does it come in black? Would you buy it then? Plastic what? I mean, what am I using this plastic for? If I'm taking someone's blood. Okay,
And as kids, we can cut our hands to become blood brothers.
Yeah.
And all those stories, they're steeped in meaning and mysticism. And I feel though there's one story that remains largely untold, which is what happens with the blood that is produced during slaughter.
Oh. Okay, so it's animal blood. You're recycling animal blood. Okay.
And yearly there are around 300 million cows, 1.4 billion pigs, and 60 billion chicken that are
and tigers and bears, oh my,
slaughtered for human consumption.
Yeah.
Now it is very important to differentiate between the different animals, because not all blood is considered equal. And while pig's blood really has a multitude of different applications, ranging from the more known ones, such as blood sausage, to a little bit less known. It also is used in dog treats. And even some of the protein are sometimes used as an artificial lung in cigarette filters.
Well, thankfully, I don't eat blood sausage. I don't have a dog, and I don't smoke, so none of that really has. Okay, so animal blood is already being used in products, but you want to take it and turn it into plastic. Thank you, Jaeger Pony. The absent-minded hematologist was a really weird idea for a Disney movie. It might show up on Disney Plus. Okay, well, I think I'm probably safe in circling sales pitch for product or service right now. So I'm going to go to the bingo card. And so we're circling free space and sales pitch for product or service. And let's go over the card itself real quick just to make sure we haven't missed something. Plays victim, no. Well, unless you talk about bloodletting, but I don't think that was victimization. Leaves out vital context. We haven't gotten far enough in it yet. Weightless example. I don't know what his argument is, except that he wants to turn blood into plastic. Anecdote that probably never happened. No. Benevolent condescension. No. Self-vilification or wretchedness. I'd be surprised. Feminism. Who knows? He's talking about mysticism. We might get there. Childhood or family anecdote. No, he hasn't. I mean, he talked about like the thing where kids, blood brothers and stuff, but he hasn't like talked about himself yet. Privilege, no. Microaggressions, unconscious bias, no. Patriarchy, no. Wage gap, no. Mind reading assumes motives. I could see us getting there maybe. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase. Unless he gives it like a particular name or something, because he just called like bioplastic, so I don't think that's new. Word salad, not yet. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, no. Marginalized, marginalization, no. Contradicts own point or argument, Don't know yet. Systemic institutional. He might get into that with whatever's going on with the slaughtering of animals. He seems to. Yeah. A list, maybe. White supremacy, not yet. Make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason, not yet. Collectivize his own demographic, not yet. So there you go. So far we have sales pitch for product or service and free space. And I am maybe jumping the gun on sales pitch for product or service, but I don't think I'm too far off the mark.
And all this research is conducted by Christine Meindertsma, and she published that in a book called Pig Book. And
Pig Book.
The story about cow blood is quite different, because feeding the protein that is contained in the blood back to the animals caused mad cow disease. And since then, all the rules and regulations around it are very strict. So what is mainly done with it is that it is used as a GMO-free organic fertilizer called blood meal. But if the slaughterhouse does not have the facilities to sterilize the blood right after slaughter, what is done with it is that it is dried and burned, labeled a negative value byproduct. So you could also call it a waste. And
yeah, it is waste. Okay, so we're getting I'll give it this. I'm getting a deep dive into the recycling of blood industry.
Back then, I thought, that is why I want to work with cow blood specifically.
Take that statement out of context for a second, why don't you?
Because I thought, and I had studied product design before, and I thought this could make a great product. Maybe it could create awareness, it could confront, and maybe it could even work on a waste problem. But looking at those numbers and the 6.6 billion liters of cow blood that are produced through the slaughter of 300 million cows, it's not those 6.6 billion liters that are the problem to begin with. It's those 300 million cows that are being slaughtered.
Well, people got to eat. And both in the business of cow raising and ranching and meat production and, people's overall health, you got to have that protein. Thank you, Jaeger Pony. I already did that one. Sorry about that. Chat froze on me. Thank you, Corey Suzuki. You can't convince me this man isn't a vampire. Also, thanks for streaming on my birthday. Always makes things better. It's your birthday. Well, Corey Suzuki, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Corey Suzuki. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Corey. Another revolveration around the sun. Trip around the sun, whatever. Anyway, okay. So you're really into cow blood, and you're really upset that so many cows are slaughtered. Okay, well, what do you offer as an alternative for protein, meat, and other such things? Do you want to put all the ranchers out of business? Destroy entire economies in different parts of the world? You tell me.
So this is not a waste problem. This is a problem of overproduction and overconsumption. And
overconsumption. Okay, well, how much of beef would you like to be rationing to the world? How many communities in so many different countries that have a lifeline on raising cattle would you like to go to and look in the eye and tell them that they need to stop raising cattle because you have a moral objection to it?
And then making yet another animal-based product felt like it might even be adding more to the problem rather than to a solution.
Well, yes. I mean, are you profiting off of this stuff that you're making? Because if you are, then you've kind of thrown away your ethical objection.
And one of my university professors once told me, maybe the best product is the one that you don't make. And I feel now I understand what he meant with
the best product is the one you don't make. Well, if you're talking about like, I didn't make this mug that I'm drinking out of. Well, I mean, it's the best product because I didn't have to put the labor into it. Is that what you mean? Or I don't know what you mean.
that what you're looking at now is a floor plan of a large industrial slaughterhouse in the US. And what is very special about this floor plan is that it is not an actual floor plan, but is one that is drawn from memory by Timothy Pecoraro, who is an anthropologist, and he worked undercover in a slaughterhouse for 6 months, and then he published a book about it, and that book is called Every 12 Seconds, Industrialized Slaughter and the Politics of Sight. And this book was very influential to me on the one hand as an individual, but also in my practice. And we used this floor plan.
This guy really, like, everything is a run-on sentence. He doesn't know when to stop. Like, my brain gets tired listening to him because I'm waiting for there to be just a small pause in the train of thought. But okay, this isn't an actual floor plan. It's something that a guy drew up from memory. So I have to take it on faith. But what does that prove about anything? I mean, are floor plans to slaughterhouses secret material or proprietary? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they are. But wow, this is definitely not going anywhere I had imagined. But then the title was a little ambiguous.
As part of a film that I have been working on together with Juan Arturo Garcia. And in this film, we're tracing the process of how blood becomes a byproduct and how it becomes a waste by looking at all the tools, the machines, and the architecture involved in that process, because design plays a significant role in this to streamline the processes for more efficiency and for more profit. And
okay, dude, take a breath. And what are we talking about? I don't even know where we're going right now. Okay, so you have an objection to cow slaughter. Okay, and you want to understand how the blood becomes a byproduct. Well, it's in the cow, and then it's out of the cow, and then it's probably spilled into tankers or something, and they process it or dispose of it. I mean, what? I'm just confused as to where we're going with this. So you make a product out of the blood and you're promoting that, but you have a problem with where the blood comes from in the first place. So you're going to send a message about not killing cows by making plastic out of cow's blood. What? Huh? I hope he explains himself, because I'm just bewildered.
Well, we requested many slaughterhouses, industrial slaughterhouses, to get access, but it was unfortunately denied the moment we mentioned that we want to come in with a camera.
Yeah.
So what we did is that we actually recreated all the tools from product catalogs. And we created those wireframe renderings and told the story through them. And we also used the language out of those catalogs. And what was quite striking to me was that the language that was used was completely detached from the fact that you're talking about an animal and about killing an animal.
I hate to tell you this, but at a certain level, when you're doing this as a business, it's about product. You've turned, or I assume have been turning, animal blood into plastic. You've turned parts of an animal into a product. Now, I don't know if you're just doing this as an art project or if you're just giving this stuff away as you make it. But I'll tell you, as I said before, if you've turned cow blood or any kind of animal blood into a plastic and you've then somehow profited off of that plastic, you're no better than them, and your moral conundrum really doesn't hold any water or blood.
And all the words that have been used are like clean, hygienic, safe, and every 12 seconds. So now, having talked about this process,
this guy might be the most depressing and melancholy speaker I've ever listened to on a TEDx. Just the tone, just the, oh boy.
I want to talk about the process that I developed with this material. And
This material. Oh, so you're using language that kind of, I don't know, distances yourself from the reality of the living being the stuff came from? This material. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, using technical terms that separate you from that this is an animal. This material. Oh, okay. All right. But slaughterhouses, the beef industry, they're in the wrong for doing that, but you're working with a material. Okay.
it starts with the killing of the animal at the slaughterhouse.
Yes.
And I go and I pick up the blood and I collaborate with a small family-run abattoir in the east of Holland.
You collaborate with an abattoir. Okay.
Then I transport the blood to my studio and I dehydrate it
Uh-huh.
at 60 degrees. And then over the course of 12 hours, all the liquid will evaporate
Uh-huh.
and you're left with granules. And then if you put 1 liter of blood, you will have 100 grams of blood powder. And this powder is then grinded up into very, very fine granules and is put in a solid metal mold, which is then pressurized.
Wow.
In this case, with 50 tons of pressure.
Uh-huh.
And is put in the oven at 200 degrees. And then what happens inside the mold is that albumin protein contained in the blood becomes like a glue, and it binds all the solid parts into an object. So,
okay, now just everything else aside for a second, it's kind of cool just finding out how he does it. That's very interesting. All the moral and weird parts aside, the process is interesting.
Technically, what you're having is a protein-based biopolymer.
Yes.
Without any additives, so the objects are all 100% made out of blood. And then having those molds and producing the objects in them, which means that they also are reproducible, and then not reproducing them, ask the question, well, what is the function of this project? And
yes, that's my question. What is the function of this project? And again, if you are selling any of this,
in this project, I try to define functionality not through a direct usability, but I try to find the function in the ability of the material to tell a story.
So, you dehydrated blood, turned it into a powder, used that powder and shaped it and molded it into, I don't know what that is. It's a flat disc. And that's supposed to tell a story. Okay, what story am I to divine by looking at a flat disc of, unless you tell me so, blood that I wouldn't be able to recognize otherwise?
And to make something that is invisible, physical.
What?
So this is a installation that is a dining table that...
Whoa. Okay, maybe it's just me. I don't know. But if I was sitting at a table and somebody said, here, I'm going to have you eat off of a plate and use utensils and drink out of a cup that are all made of blood. Well, I think I was at a Vampire the Masquerade LARP, first and foremost. But, okay, so the story is what? That I'm having a meal on the blood of the thing that I like. If I ate a steak off of that plate, is that the story? That, circle of life, it all comes back around. Like what?
The set completely made with tableware out of blood.
Yeah.
And it relates to the consumption and the overconsumption of the animal.
Have you sold a single piece of this? Have you profited off of this blood plastic in any way, shape, or form? That's my primary question. If you're just doing this as a goof or as an art project or whatever, okay, it's very weird. But you're talking about using that blood. You say it's a big waste. So are you marketing this as a product to be sold, or aren't you?
And at the same time, also it puts on the table what usually, remains unseen. And I think it's It's quite significant that the slaughter industry is one of the most resource-intensive industries of today, and yet it is completely invisible.
It's not invisible. I mean, it's not something a lot of people like to see. It's not a pleasant thing. I'm not gonna, say, oh, it's so much fun to watch, cattle getting their heads cracked in. No, it's not. But your beef comes from somewhere. Are you a vegan or something? I mean, do you not eat meat at all? I'm surprised he hasn't told us about his dietary choices yet.
And that also renders the animal invisible. So
it renders the animal, all right. Oh, sorry.
In this piece, I try to recreate this connection between the human and the animal. So
No. There's nothing recognizably animal about a plate, a fork, a knife, and a cup. I could use those things to eat a salad just as much as I could eat a steak. Okay.
So this is a record that is made out of cow blood, and it's playing the heartbeat of a cow.
Okay, now that is interesting. I'll give you that. That's some poetic stuff right there. A little grim and gruesome, but then we are talking about slaughterhouses. Okay, are you selling this stuff? What is the point? Really, I mean, again, art project, okay. But what is the point? What is this supposed to do? What message is this supposed to send? Thank you, Tall Person. Happy National Rubber Ducky Day. Now, Tall Person. That obviously raises the question. Could you make a blood ducky? Ooh. Could we take our speaker's material and make blood ducky? I hope so. I really hope so.
And listening to a heartbeat, I think, is something that is very intimate. If you put your head on somebody's chest and you feel the heartbeat and you listen. And
dude, I gotta say, you're really weird. I'm sorry. I mean, it's not necessarily a derogatory thing. It's just a plain fact. You're a very odd duck, blood ducky.
At the same time, the relationship that we have to the animals that we eat is completely stripped of all intimacy. So through this object, I'm trying to restore a part of that.
I don't particularly wish to become intimate with the animals of which I'm eating. You might have to go to Cenk Uygur for that one.
It's the sad average that we eat 11 cows in our lifetime, which adds up to...
I wonder what the average Texan eats as far as number of cows in their lifetimes.
3,000 kilos of beef, but also to 220 liters of blood. And this mirror is made exactly from this amount of blood.
You made a mirror out of blood. It's black mirror, okay. Is that piece for sale?
220 liters representing those 11 hypothetical cows. And it also becomes a tool, like quite literally, to reflect on the animal-human relationship. And with all the material and the objects in themselves, I try to also find a new notion for blood that is not confirming those ideas that we might have in our head when I say blood. Maybe there's those images that pop to your head that are often quite violent.
Okay, I'm circling word salad. I mean, funny salad, not beef, but yeah, word salad. Either between this or every other run-on sentence he's gone through so far. Did we have it? Has he given us an official list yet? I might have to think about that. I mean, technically, I guess that thing at the beginning was a list of animals. Yeah, you know what? I'll accept it. I will accept it. I'm circling a list for the graphic that had the different animals and the amount of either the amount of blood or the number of slaughters that take place. Okay.
Or disgusting. And I think those images are very influenced also by the use of blood in movies and in media. And probably the scene from The Shining, the elevator of blood. And what I found interesting is that blood actually in those images becomes this amplifier to amplify a certain situation. So if you want to show something that's disgusting, it's going to be more disgusting when there's blood involved.
Oh, you don't say. Gosh, I never heard of gore before. Okay, thanks, dude. Thank you, Jaeger Pony. He could make bank selling collectors' blood records for metal bands. Now that is an awesome idea. That is a cool idea. I mean, actually, it'd be what would make it more interesting is if it was something like I don't know, like if Prince were still alive, right? And Prince made a single record pressing of an album one time forever, kind of like that Wu-Tang Clan album that was only one copy was ever pressed or whatever. I forget what his name is. The guy that raised the prices on the medication or whatever. Anyway, like something like that, where it's like one of a kind and also made out of the artist's blood. That would be totally metal, dude. Totally metal, dude. Okay. Where are we going with this? All right, now, okay, so basically all of this is saying you can take blood and turn it into a plastic. And then you take that plastic and you put it into all of these forms in art projects to get across the intimacy of the person and the animal they've been eating by looking at a mirror on a wall. I mean, the coolest thing so far, yeah, is that record thing. There's a lot of potential there. If you can make a record out of blood and then put something awesome on it. But again, have you been selling this stuff? Have you made any profit off of it? And what are you proposing? I mean, are you proposing the mass recycling of the blood or not?
If you want to show something violent, it's going to be more violent when there's blood involved.
Generally speaking, yes, because blood doesn't show up without a violation of one's body, right? I mean, generally speaking, you're talking about what is seen and unseen. Yeah, blood is most of the time unseen unless someone has incurred an injury. And so that tells us as human beings, sort of in a lizard brain reflexive thing, something bad has happened, right? That's why when you walk into an apartment or something and you see a trail of blood on the floor, your immediate thought is not comfort, unless you're a psychopath or something, I suppose, or perhaps you.
And so all those images are creating this negativity around it and are also creating this taboo around blood.
Well, why wouldn't you want that to be the case? Because you're arguing against the slaughtering of animals, right? So why wouldn't you want the spilling of so much blood to be taboo? Or maybe you do. Maybe I'm missing something.
As a material, and I think this taboo was also part of the reason why I said I do not want to work with human blood.
Oh, you have standards of blood you want to work with. Okay, but you want to work with animal blood, but it's something that you detest that animals are being slaughtered. Okay.
And the other reason for that was that I thought, well, if you want to do something with your blood, you could also go and donate it, and then making an object from it seemed to be very narcissistic, but what I didn't consider.
Yeah, I'm sure of all the things you've been talking about, using blood for something other than donation is entirely narcissistic, yeah.
Back then was that there are actually many people who are not able to donate their blood.
Yeah.
And that might be because of an infectious disease that's contained in it. And then, again, this is only a very small part of the stigma that might be attached to a disease such as HIV.
Have you made any objects out of AIDS-infected blood? I don't know why I have to ask that question.
And then being able to make an object out of this blood that can be held, that can become a tool also to confront this fear that we have for the disease that might translate also into a fear towards the person. And I think that is very, very dangerous.
Yes, why would and again, I'm just guessing here because he didn't say explicitly yet, but why would a concave piece of plastic made out of HIV infected blood make me less concerned about that disease, at least in the abstract? And you're right. There should be no association between someone having a disease and then holding that as a character flaw against the other person. I learned this lesson specifically about AIDS back in the 80s with the story of Ryan White, who was very famous for having gotten AIDS through a blood transfusion. But him simply having the infection became a big deal and a big controversy. But he was one of the, like him and Magic Johnson, I think it was, or yeah, it was a whole bunch of people during that time who, contracted AIDS either, through sexual intercourse or in Ryan White's case, not through sexual intercourse. And then like, is this person inherently a bad person because of it or something? Anyway, yeah, okay, but what are we doing here? Chicago Mike, thank you so much. This guy is a good cure for insomnia. I mean, the monotone, the run-on sentences, I have no idea where we're going with this. But I'll circle back. Okay, I'll circle back. What does a concave piece of plastic made out of, again, I'm assuming, HIV and or AIDS infected blood supposed to do to make the disease itself, not the person, but the disease somehow less taboo or less stigmatized?
That if you start to see a person as their medical status, you get afraid of them and you don't manage to see the person anymore. So
I don't see a person in that piece of plastic. That is not a person. That is a piece of plastic. It's a concave piece of plastic. I can't imagine what it's used for, but what is that? How is having that, seeing that, or anything else connecting me to the person from which the blood came?
Collaborated in this project with donors that are HIV positive.
Okay.
And they gave me their blood and I made an object from it and it can be held and you can confront your fear.
Okay. Another bot in the chat, by the way.
But at the same time, it's combined with interviews also with those people. And those interviews are really helping to see the person, which I think is...
Yes. An on-camera interview will let you see the person and have a notion of the person. A lump of black plastic made out of their blood does nothing to connect me to the person. It's a lump of black. Have you ever considered trying to find real work?
So important because a lot of the discourse around disease is very medicalized.
A lot of the conversation around disease is medicalized, you say. Oh, golly. Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Blood for the Blood God. I needed that after 11 minutes and 39 seconds of nothing but droning, depressing, bewildering gobbledygook. I needed that. I really, really needed that.
So you have all those numbers and statistics, and I think...
Oh, yeah, science, numbers, statistics, yeah. Like those numbers you put up at the start of the talk, those statistics about how many cows are killed a year, how much liters of blood are wasted. the blueprints that showed the play. Yeah, you know, the 3D modeling. You did all those numbers and statistics. Oh,
Numbers and statistics really hide all kind of personal struggles and strength and overcoming. So
do they? I mean, I guess it depends on the context, doesn't it? But so what?
I thought those interviews, and also that there was so much, felt so precious to me also that somebody was so open and willing to share their story with me. So I really wanted to keep on creating a platform for that. So
Okay, and if you were doing an interview project, like you're archiving people's testimonies about their experiences with HIV or AIDS or whatever, that would be more interesting. That would be way, 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 way more interesting than making lumps of black plastic and telling me that somehow holding a lump of black plastic is going to make me confront my fear of the AIDS virus. What?
so I started collaborating with a microbiologist,
Uh-huh.
and she, Jennifer Strauchenkamp, she created those very mesmerizing images of blood.
Uh-huh. I've seen things like this in science videos for years and years. I think you lack focus. I mean, maybe in life in general, but certainly in this talk. What are we doing? Where are we going? What is your argument? Because at the beginning, I was thinking, all this blood is wasted every year. 60 or 6 billion liters of blood is just thrown away or whatever. Like, okay. And so you want to recycle it into something useful, conceivably. Although, again, I wonder how many people would voluntarily use a fork and a plate made out of cow blood. But either way, if you wanted to use it as material for something that was maybe industrial, let's say, and not necessarily for food consumption, that might be interesting, right? I don't know. Thank you, Jaeger Pony. Would you not understand the pain? Wait, would you not understand the pain of others if only you could hold their blood? I want to hold your blood. Please let me turn you into plastic. You know, you're not wrong. This could be, if it's not in real life, and I hope not, fingers crossed, but this could be the basis for a really weird independent horror movie. You know, it's like, I'm going to turn you into something more useful. Or like, you see that family portrait over there? Yes. The paint, it's oils. But the frame, it's made out of the family. Yeah, something like that. That'd be kind of cool. All right, let's keep going. This is what happens when I pick something because the title's weird.
Flowing, filmed through a microscope.
Uh-huh.
And what I found very interesting about...
By interesting, do you mean interesting, or is there, because there's a little quiver in your voice when there's a little hesitation when you're looking for that word. What I found interesting, like, I don't know, maybe it's something about the accent.
And what I found very interesting about working with a microscope as a tool is that it can help you to see a single cell up close.
You don't say. Using a microscope can help you see a single cell up close. Uh-huh.
But it will never tell you what the person is feeling, if they are happy or sad.
What? What is that? What the fuck is that?
Okay, dude. I mean, okay. No, I mean, it's not the most mind-melting WTF ever, but on what level of an alternate dimension are you operating right now? What are you talking about? Where is this going? maybe I need to take back sales pitch for product or service, because he hasn't actually pitched this thing yet as a product for mass creation. I mean, he mentioned it. He sort of flirted with the idea. I mean, he's got a couple of minutes left, but I might have to take that one back. I have no idea what this is about. We got 2 minutes left in this thing, and I'm not even sure where we are right now. But apparently a microscope is not a mood ring, if you can believe it.
Or what keeps them awake at night. And I think combining those images then again with the interviews is really a way to get up close and to get an understanding of what it means to be sick, because of course it's very important to be aware of all the implications that disease has on the body.
Oh, but you don't want to make it too medicalized, right? Okay, so we started out with cow blood is wasted in billions of liters. I make a product out of recycled blood. Also, I do interviews with AIDS patients. Also, I do these interviews because holding their blood in solid form isn't enough to connect you with the person. Also, I look at blood under a microscope and film it so I can put it up alongside the interviews so you... Have you ever considered getting real work?
But it's also important to know what are the implications for the mental health that the stigma that is related to a disease can create.
Oh no, I'm definitely weighing the implications for mental health right now. Trust me.
I just remember just feeling dirty.
Whoa.
Feeling horrible. Hating myself, hating my mum, because the only way I could have this is through my parents.
Have what? What are we talking about?
And I don't know my dad, so it must be through my mum.
What? Huh? What? Wait, okay, that was not some kind of weird edit I did. That was the original. What?
And those stories that are really heartbreaking at times, I think still very important to
what was the story?
Listen to them.
What story? What was that?
There's also so much, at the same time, there's so much strength and beauty in this honesty and also in overcoming those difficulties.
Do you interview the cows too? Why are we here? Where did we come from?
So in overcoming those difficulties.
By the November 2013, I was pregnant. But this time it was different. Because we had knowledge that we couldn't pass it on if our viral load was under a certain amount. So I didn't have that fear anymore.
Okay.
With all the work that I do with blood, I try to find this new notion for it that looks past the negativity that we might attach to blood and its physicality.
But so, oh my God. Okay. Now, okay, I'm gonna let him finish. We only got 20 seconds left.
Hopefully that will help us to relate to unseen realities and to untold stories. And I would like to leave you with a quote from the interview. It's talking about difficulties that's going to bring us closer together, and it's ignorance and fear that's going to divide us. Thank you.
This guy lives in a motel with his mother with a lot of dead animals on the wall, doesn't he? Okay. Yep. Well, like I say, I know how to pick them. I thought within the first minute or two, I had an idea where this was going. And no. Okay. I'm going to have to take back sales pitch for product or service, because he never said that this stuff was for sale. He barely dwelled on the idea of turning this into, like, I don't even think he ever mentioned, like, this is something we could do to recycle the blood and make something out of it. It was all just one giant long art project guilt trip. So I don't have any notion that he was actually selling this product. He was pitching its creation, yes, but not selling it, I suppose. I don't know. If you guys have an argument for me to recircle sales pitch for product or service, I'll entertain it. But I'm actually of the opinion that maybe it wasn't now. I don't know. I don't know what we just watched. That was just weird. Thank you, Chicago Mike. Now I know who he reminds me of, Bela Lugosi. Well, Bela Lugosi was he was Hungarian. I think this guy indicated that he was Dutch. But yeah, no, this guy's if this guy's not operating on a trust fund, I would be amazed. Let me just put it that way. Okay, moving on to the bingo card. I'm going to go over it one more time myself. I don't know that we'll get a bingo out of this, but we'll try. Okay, plays victim. He never really talked about himself. I mean, he sounded sad. But yeah, leaves out vital context. Yeah, like, why are you... He went all over the map with this, and I didn't know why we were here, what his argument was, what it was we were supposed to be gaining from this. Weightless example. I mean, I'm almost of a mind to say that the information at the beginning had no weight because it had absolutely nothing to do with the rest of the talk. I thought we were going to get sort of a morality lecture on the slaughter of animals and the waste of blood. And we did kind of, but then he monotonely shifted into people and AIDS and all those numbers at the top. It didn't have anything to do with anything ultimately. So, yeah, I'm going to do that. Anecdote that probably never happened. I mean, he did the interviews. There was the footage of the blood. He did make the stuff. I can't think of an anecdote that there was no perfectly formed story or anything. Benevolent condescension. Benevolent condescension. It's hard to piece out. Like I said, his tone was just so flat the whole time. I mean, I guess there was a certain amount of righteous indignation about animal slaughter and things, but I'm not sure. Self-vilification or wretchedness. No, he never really dwelled on himself. Feminism. Nope, he never really brought up gender or anything. Childhood or family anecdote. Okay, he never talked about his childhood. He never talked about his family. He talked about his friend, but his friend was an obvious adult when that picture was taken, so I don't think that counts. Privilege, not in the context that we would use it, I don't think. Sales pitch for product or service. Again, I don't know if there was one in there. I mean, he talked about certain people that he collaborated with. He showed us his plastic. But there was never we should turn blood into plastic. We should find another use for this. My method is, mass producible. There was nothing like that. Microaggressions and conscious bias. I'm going to circle unconscious bias because he was talking about people like judging others on the basis of their disease. And I know he wasn't talking about it in like the educational sense or anything, but in referential. But as far as I'm concerned, that kind of counts. Patriarchy, no. Wage gap. No, he never talked about making money. Mind reading assumes motives. That everybody is like scared of blood, or there's this taboo. I mean, I guess there's a taboo about it to a certain extent, but I mean, there's also taboo about turning it into plastic, I think. That's just weird. So anyway, attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase. I don't think medicalized counts as a buzzword or buzz phrase. And bioplastic, I don't believe is something he came up all on his lonesome. So I don't think there was one in there. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. No. Marginalization. Yeah. I mean, talking about the stigma of people with AIDS. Again, he didn't use the concept in some kind of preachy way, but it was included in the talk, or at least implied. contradicts his own point or argument. I have no idea what his argument was. Blood is a waste thing. Blood should not be spilled in the name of cows. I turn it into plastic. Also, people have blood in their bodies, and some people have diseases that infect the blood. So, I don't know. Is the absence of an argument a contradiction in and of itself? Does the content of the presentation in not addressing the title of the presentation? Well, no, I mean, he explained why he uses blood as a material, sort of. He's sending a message. I don't know. Systemic institutional. The meat industry. I'm stretching here, but I don't feel too bad because we're not getting into like bingo territory right now. So yeah, I'll allow it for myself at least. And white supremacy, no. Make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason. I mean, I don't mean to double dip on the weightless example part, but I mean, what the heck was the point of bringing up how much blood is wasted from cows every year if you're not going to propose something to do with it on a mass scale? Or pig's blood or chicken blood. I mean, like, why did you bother doing that? And then you move into like AIDS patient interviews, like collectivize his own demographic. He never talked about vampires in the abstract. So, okay. Yeah, there's the bingo card as I have it right now. If you have arguments for squares not yet circled, put them in the chat, please, and tag me in that comment so I can see it more readily, but I'll scroll up in the meantime. Lexi Mads, got it. Anyone else ever seen the Body Worlds exhibition? The artist who slices up bodies and encases them in lucite, and you can see every system in the body, etc. He's a discount version of that. Well, actually, that reminds me. There's a don't bother with the sequel, but there is a horror movie, thriller movie from the, God, I guess it's now the early 2000s or late 90s. I forget now. It's called Anatomy, and it's German, I believe. And it stars Franca Portente, which I know I put an accent on it that probably doesn't exist. But either way, she was in Run Lola Run. And it's a decent-ish horror/thriller movie. Do not bother with the sequel unless you just like laughing at cheesy B-movie sequels. But Anatomy, the first one, it has sliced up people in it like that kind of thing. Let's see. There's a Gwynplaine. I would be surprised if we got a bingo because the bingo card is about TEDx tropes, and this was unique. Yeah, that's what I'm also thinking. I mean, we might. I don't know. I don't know if we can squeeze a bingo out of this one, but yeah, like I said, I picked this one because of the title. It just I was mystified. I was curious, and I have learned something. I've learned you can turn blood into plastic. I did not know that before this talk. So there you go. And Gwynplaine also says, I don't think there's really much doubt that we just watched a TEDx talk by a serial killer. It'll be interesting. And I use interesting in the most diplomatic way. If we hear about this guy at some point in the future in a completely, well, slightly unrelated context. That's all I'll say. Whoops. Let's see. Blitz Zero says, I guess it depends on whether he meant to make an argument. Well, I mean, everything in the first 5 minutes or so certainly indicated that he was about to make an argument. He was making moral objections to the slaughtering of cows. He talked about how the meat industry is so secretive and they don't let anybody in. And this is how much blood is spilled. And it's a waste product. And, slaughtering animals is obviously inhumane. And you lose a connection between you and the animal. He kept making all these sort of moral indications, like he was either going to make an anti-meat argument or a let's not let this stuff go to waste if it can be turned into something useful argument, but he never really got there. So I don't know. Does that contradict an argument? Also, real quick, because I missed it before, obviously, I'm going to pin up in the top of the chat the links to Weibo Jones's medical GoFundMe and Angry Illinoisians GoFundMe. Weibo Jones is recovering after getting attacked by a dog on New Year's Eve. Pictures I've seen recently, she looks like she's healing up well. Hopefully she'll be all right. But if you want to donate to that, that link's there. And then Angry Illinoisian, longtime supporter of my channel and several others. He was recently injured in a way that apparently he can't find workers' comp for. So if you happen to have a couple extra bucks, please consider going over there and throwing him. No, don't throw him. Throw them his way. That's what I meant. Bridget, I have no words. There's nothing I can argue today. This dude was wacky. Yeah, I can't always promise that TEDx's are going to be educational or ridiculously funny. Sometimes they're just, But boy, I can pick them. I mean, I think I said this before. The only TEDx for a show I've ever done, I can think of, where I came away actually either impressed or interested or didn't feel like I had anything to really mock about it for the most part, was the one I did with Ranting Monkey, where the title said something to the effect of, can you heal spines with asparagus? And that sounded like another wacky title, but then the guy actually explains what he's talking about. It's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Other than that, yeah, it's like talking toilets and blood is plastic. Whew. And Zeke Weiss, this one was just nothing there. It's beyond the concept and confusing on what he said. Yes, but that is what we've come to expect from TEDx. Weird stuff presented in a confusing manner. This just happened to be a bit creepier and a bit more incoherent than your average TEDx. But I think that's where we're at, guys. Yeah, sorry we didn't quite have the mind melty thing we used to. Oh, and before I'm reminded, let me circle the whole card. I did make this a WTF. It was a relatively mild WTF, but I think it was just sort of in the aggregate of everything he was doing and saying. But then that microscope thing, I'm like, a microscope cannot show you someone's feelings. Like, you're correct. But anyway, with that, I think I'm going to call this here. Let's see, real quick. Yvonne Solomon, I was ready for this to be an artsy commentary about consumerism and waste, but then he went into AIDS, and I just completely ignored this previous point. Yeah. This was a meandering, disconnected, disjointed meditation on blood. Just everything about blood. Animal blood, blood plastic, blood as horror movie fodder, blood as a carrier mechanism for disease, blood to justify interviewing people. Just blood. It's just all about blood. Everyone, thank you for joining me. I hope you learned something. I mean, I did learn something. I had no idea exactly how much cow blood is spilled every year in waste product. 6.6 billion liters. So I came away knowing something more than I did when I started. And you can turn blood into plastic. And if I see a very oddly shaped black plastic fork in the near future, I might take a second look before putting it near my mouth. But with that, everyone, again, thank you for joining me. Hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to hear more from me, well, I've got a whole channel full of stuff, including a playlist with all the TED excellences from the past, say for maybe the most recent few, because I have to add them. I've got some true crime videos. I've done a trilogy. Still looking for that next story I might do another one on. And if you'd like to hear more from me live, you can find me here again on Sunday morning, for the Sunday stream, where I will talk about a thing, which I may or may not have already selected. But I don't want to write checks I can't cash, so you'll just have to tune in. Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, for the Sunday stream. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things. Even though everyone here is so well behaved, you have very little to do except to fight Russian bots, and I appreciate it. Everyone who donated, thank you so much for your generosity. I really do appreciate it as well. And again, take a look at the fundraisers in the chat at the top of the window. If you have a couple extra bucks to spare for our friends Weibo and Angry Illinoisian. Everyone, I hope you're all having a good week. I hope you all have a good Friday and a good weekend. I hope you're all safe and well. If you're not well, Please get well soon, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.